Hi, everybody. Today, I would like to um, give you some information or share with you some understandings or the deeper understanding of the darkening, just a little part of it, um, and also the introduction of the electromagnetic field physics, which relates to the philosophy of the last video that I've presented called The Darkening and the Philosophy. The first introduction of philosophy was the audio section, and there is a link in this video to give you the introduction itself for those who need to have it all together. And today will be about the second part of the philosophy, as well as just the explanation overall, and then the third part as well, and then it's done. So it's not a lot of information, but it is very specific, very much technical. So I would advise for you to just keep it in mind. In a short sort of reason why I'm doing this is because it's important to know how you are able to protect yourself. I've studied this and practiced it on myself. So, like I always say, I'm my own guinea pig. So, when I do these things, I practice it and then I find the reasons how it works and then I talk about it. And yeah. So, the more, so touching briefly on the darkening, I just want to I just want to start off by saying that it is not related to the eclipses. Okay. Um, the more the darkening moves or is operative or functioning as we speak, because it is right now. I'm talking about it as an alchemical type of form or energy in itself. The darkening is also what is referred to as melanosis, as I've said in the previous video. So if you don't understand, go back to the last video again and listen to it very carefully. I know there's a lot of stuff in there, but you don't have to listen to the video in one shot. You can listen to it in parts, um, and you can build up information and knowledge and wisdom on it. So the more the darkening operates in an alchemical manner, the more um, it presents in its deepest energetic frequency all the things that are glitchy, all the things that don't make sense. It highlights the issues of hidden things. It's also, like I've said before, the playing field is now evened out. So now we can all see who has been diddling in the background. It was necessary to happen. It started when when I brought in the information about the deep stuff material, as well as the information on uh, the lightning, the bliksem, which relates to the same thing. Okay, that is albedo. That was the lightning. Okay, this is the darkening, which means that which was highlighted is now being presented and is now um, put to judgment or put to court, or let's call it karma, is now being reactivated because it wasn't active for some time. This is why things are actually starting to move into a direction which has been quite interesting. uh, Secrets that were kept for a long time are coming out, hidden enemies are being exposed, behaviors are being questioned, viewed, and you then decide. Remember, you're the judge in your own making, in your own form of who you are. The more there is a darkening as a frequency that brings up the information for the energy to present itself so that it in time uh, has the chance to rectify its course or course correct or be removed completely out of existence. Um, this is not something that I thumbsuck. I do not thumbsuck my information on my videos. I do deep investigations, and I allow for what is within to come through as well. So this is a message, if you want to call it that. Okay. So think of the information that I explained to you about the Lumineferous Aether as well. This is part of it. This is part of the system overlay breakdown. This is part of these things that are starting to present themselves so that they are broken down. On this channel, everything and anything that is discussed undergoes a change of the frequency so that it breaks down the information and then brings it to the surface so that it can be changed or cleared up or revealed. And this is how the energy works on this channel. So if you're here and you are part of the community, thank you very much. Also, for those that are brand new, I'm sure that if you go through all of the videos, like I often enough say, the entire channel in itself, all the videos speak for themselves, which leads us to this very moment of this video. So they are all um, connected and related to one another. Okay. So bringing up the information about the eclipses, which I'll touch briefly, but I'm not going to discuss it. I think it's being discussed to death. The darkening is there prior to the eclipses and will be there after the eclipses. Any and every celestial element that goes through whatever process it does is going to go through what it does. It's got nothing to do with the information that I'm bringing up on this channel. For the new people, if you're interested in finding out this particular thread, I would advise for you to go to the Beyond Thunderdome, the first you'll see it, and it leads up to this video. Alternatively, I would advise for you, if you want to know all of it and understand everything the way that it's meant to be understood, um, please watch all of the videos. Watch all of them and take your time. There are some people that have taken the time to actually study it all, and I commend them for that. So it's really good to know that the information can be understood if you take time to listen to it. This is not a sausage factory. I do not churn out videos when I feel like it or when it's time. I bring it out when it has to come out because of what is being given to me as a guidance to do so. Now, let me explain a little bit clearer to you, or clarify to you for clarity, what the darkening is also about. It is the equalizer of form of or matter that reveals all the mysteries that you may have wished to know and beyond that. It reveals the parasitic element in its actual existence, in its energy field, and how it influences people. The parasite has always been here, like I've said from the start. It is not a one-time thing, like I've just said, and it is a period that will play itself out until there is an awareness to what can be done about it. Okay, so this is part of the age, this darkening. Okay, it does not mean we're going into the dark ages, so don't go there. It means clarifying. Okay. Another word to clarify something is to reveal. Okay, so the darkening is the great revealer. All right. It is a period that will play itself out, like I said, and it will play out until there is awareness about it. It is the information of this age. Okay. The more awareness you have, the more the frequency dissipates around you, the more you are being brought to an awareness of understanding why it happens. So glitches and weird dramas and people doing weird things and saying weird things and bridges being blown up because they're greedy. These are all part of information's data, if you want to call it like that, that's being revealed. Okay, so we're looking at at the information age that we looked at a few years ago, and this is the revealing of everything that makes up true information and false information, those who wield both. Okay, so you will see it all if you've not already started to see it. It is also not a movement of anything that makes you have to do a specific thing. So, digging into a bunker because it's the end of the world, it's always the end of the world if you die. Your world ends when you die. That's how that works. Um, this realm cannot die. Okay, this realm is operating in an infinite frequency that will always perpetuate itself. It is the dynamic of this realm. Okay, with everything in it. All right. So the more you will see, the more the information comes to you, and the more publicly it may be displayed, or the more visible it is for you, the more you will see what is real and what is not real. Okay, you will see through the illusions. But the reason I've brought the philosophy in is for those who are interested to want to know how to cope through this process, this time period. It's not an infinite time period, but it will run its course. I don't know how long it's gonna run. It's gonna run. It is running. Okay. Think of it as massive judgment, if you want to call it like that, but I don't like the word because it's related to religious connotations, which it's not. Okay. Think about it as a great revealer that's happening as we speak. So the philosophy, as I said, entails how to understand yourself, how to help yourself, and how to go through this process. Um, okay, we'll see how this goes. It depends on how what you do with it. That depends where you are in yourself. There are fields of energy that surrounds everything that is alive. Remember, I've spoken about that. Um, these fields of energy are also perceived as your bubble or circle or protection or egg or whatever you want to call it, but it's not related to the auric field, okay? Um, Overall, I would call it the electromagnetic field and the physics in how it operates within you and around you and how it interacts with others and vice versa. In the darkening and the philosophy, the first one is the introduction. I was touching briefly on the philosophy and giving you a shorthand version of what it is that you must use to help yourself to cope with what's happening right now and why it is important to grasp it fully. So it was an introduction, and I've placed the link to the philosophy, the first introduction, in the About section. So read the About section when you look at the video. Don't just launch into the video, read what I say. Okay? It helps you to understand the order of the information. So on the fields within the torus model, which is reliant on those who operate in the energy of the realm dynamics, the realm has been perceived as a mirror for a long time. Okay. You will know, if you've heard it before, that everybody talks about the mirror is just the reflection of God's mind playing in the world. That is a flawed statement, okay? That means it is a false dichotomy or a false dual belief system. Okay, I'm going to be giving you information just briefly to understand that duality is basically a man made perception built on illusions. Okay, like I've been doing so for some time. Okay, so the realm has been perceived as a mirror for a long time, and with this being said, there is an erroneous understanding that it relates to duality. Okay, like I've just explained. In this, I'm clarifying why it's not a mirror world. But that, for the most part, neither was a duality system to begin with. The idea of duality is based on illusion. Okay, and illusions are always synonymous with smoke and mirrors. Okay, that I already give you some sort of indication that you're looking at something like that. So, if there is a belief in duality and that all things done internally is mirrored into the external world, you need to listen carefully to this part, because it is very important that you understand when I say what is within is reflected outward, okay? It's not the same thing, okay? Their concept on duality is based on what is done here is actioned or reflected back to them. When I say what is done within impacts that which is around you, it is not a mirror of what is within you. You impact that existence around you of what is within you. So, working on self love internally impacts your immediate environment. All right. That is the electromagnetic field as well, for those who are interested to know. They, on the other hand, believe that whatever they do, they think is mirrored back to them. So they are the ones that focus heavily on cause and effect, or they make it happen that way. They artificially make it happen that way. And I'll explain this a little later. Those are the dualists. The dualists. I'm calling it that. Right. If there is a belief in duality and that all things done internally is mirrored into the external world, then the term in itself also proposes that a mirror is an inversion or of an actual image as well, which then results in also inversions of mostly everything. So those who believe that they are doing God's work do things that are completely inverted as opposed to God's work. Okay. This is the difference between the information on my channel, people who talk about stuff and not do it, and people such as myself that do things, talk about it, and do it. That is why the information on this channel is more accurate and more actual to what I'm explaining. And I'm not selling myself to you. I don't care. It is how the channel operates. It is who I am. Okay. I speak what I do. In the following aspect, a mirror is the dual projection. Okay. Duality is perceived as world, and within world duality exists. The Kabbalists present that often in their works, okay, which is a two-way mirror of the other, which means illusion is always present, which means there is always room for error to happen on purpose. What you do within yourself impacts, affects your life, your immediate environment around you, your field. It is not a mirror, okay, unless you say and do and act and it happens exactly that way. There is a difference between that experience and the difference between doing this, doing that, doing this, so that this and this and this can happen. That is what I'm talking about. Duality is about doing X, Y, and Z for X, Y, and Z to happen. There's no uh, reason other than I'm doing this, I'm saying my mantras because I want to have R1 million at the end of the day. It's not going to happen for you. It never will when you do it that way. So I'll explain this. That is duality. It is important to understand that what is within you is actualized, which means it becomes real, it becomes actual. Is that the world is the created aspect as one view, while the creative force or the original creative force is the other view of the aspect. Let me explain this in a bigger perspective for you. The belief of duality explains that God and the world, God created the world and the world is the mirror of God. Okay, that is an illusion. All right, that's why no one can find what they're looking for all the time. That is the illusion. What is actualized is the original creative force exists as an original form that is, you can't take anything away, you can't add anything into it. It is ever expanding and it is indifferent. Then breathe, there's the realm. The realm is the created aspect. It is created, but there is no mirror between the two. There is no one eye here and one eye down there. There is only, I've written something down. My video is not my mirror. Do you understand what I'm saying? The video that I'm making is not the mirror of me. So those that are obsessed with focusing to try and see if they can um, use images of people and then focus on them energetically to get things done, it is flawed. It is flawed from the very beginning inside of your head. Okay. So this is why I'm explaining what you do within yourself is within yourself. What you do outside of yourself does not relate to this to each other, because there is, unless you think, you speak, and you feel, and you do the same thing at the same time, then there's a continuation of energy. Okay, I hope that this makes sense. I'm trying to break down or reveal to you the breaking down of the illusion, which will be at the end of this video when you realize. So breaking the so what you need to see is unity. Okay, you do not mirror me. My video is not not a mirror of me. I am myself. I am whole. You are you, and we do not mirror one another. Okay, we do not look at one another to mirror each other. We don't do that. Therefore, the idea of twin souls and soul mates and all of that shit is all new age projection mirror magic as well. Just for those that need to know, because I can pick up that there are some that need to know this. What the understanding should be is, you are you, and that person is that person, and you are whole, unique beings of one another, and you interact with one another through your electromagnetic fields. Okay, that is the information that I want to bring to you, but I need to get through these parts to explain it in a bit deeper form for you to understand. For interest's sake, another example of mirror imaging illusionary beliefs is to look at someone's astrology chart or whatever, and then seeing what the celestials are mirroring of what this person should be doing. This is why this is another mirror. It is a perception belief. It depends on how much you believe your belief is for you in terms of the external elements. The more you believe in external materiality in this realm, the more you fixate and worship the elements in it, the more you become fixed in the illusion of what is being presented as the dual system. The less you become fixated on the material stuff and you just function like a normal person should be functioning. As a, what is normal? I suppose that's an argument we can argue for days and days and on days on end, I suppose. But the less you fixate on the need of the material realm to do certain things for you, the more unpredictable you become, the less you can be predicted, the stronger your field becomes. Okay, just keep that in mind. So, this material on this video, on this information that I'm sharing with you, is to break down the illusion of the patterns that hold, to control you, to impact your life, things that you don't want to happen to you. Okay, more on this later. If you don't understand anything that I'm saying to you, please go back to the last video that I've made, the darkening and the philosophy part one, or the introduction to it, for you to understand what I'm saying in a shorthand version. If you need to know the details of this, please stick around. Okay. And the information on this channel, as you know, when it is brought into this channel, when it is being spoken about, it is impacting the information itself. So breaking down the illusion is going to be happening. Means to break the mirrors. Okay. And don't forget that the trapezoid is already a mirror. If you don't understand what the word trapezoid is, again, go to Deep Stuff Beyond Thunderdome for an introduction to the torus model and the trapezoids in it. Okay. So, and yeah, so understanding that the trapezoid is the mirror, or as I've said before, the black mirror, which is also a play on words, as you know, and that is the portal or channel through which most people fix on when they think they astral travel, or when they think they do certain meditative stuff. Again, the targeting area that you're going to is not where you're going to ever. Okay. We are still working within the model of the torus. It's not the end of the torus. The belief of the torus itself is less. Okay. So if you are unfamiliar, like I said, please go to Beyond Thunderdome and you will understand the information on the torus model and why I presented it, the realm, as the torus model. Start watching there from there on to here. And when you're done with this video, watch it backwards. Okay, and you'll see it all. The links will be provided. So let me explain to you dualists, just so that you get an understanding. Dualists, or system operators, is like I would call them, aka elites or hidden societies or orders, or the ones that believe that they are the breakaway society where they think they can go to some random world and live there. Anyway, I'm talking about the really deep hidden ones that are so hidden that you don't even know that the Rothschilds look like puppets and scapegoats. I'm talking to those that have those elites by the short and curlies, okay? Because they exist, and these guys are just front men, the whole lot of them, and they will be taken out one by one by one, as you have noticed by now. That on the side, okay? They are operating with the understanding of the field dynamics, the physics of fields. Okay. Whenever they are looking to influence certain things, they influence those front men to influence it with the hard, with the muscle. The muscle is the money. Okay. And that's how they operate. So the techniques that they use to influence these front men are based on, do you want this? If you want this, then make sure that thing happens. So it happens at certain days and times and events. Or let's rewrite all of the documents and all of the scrolls that we've discovered so that it would always show that we've been there all along. Okay. First at the dig, first at the archaeological dig site. Okay, and the forgery begins. Right. So understand the field dynamics, or the electromagnetic field physics, that I'm going to be explaining to you later, but I first need to, like I said, wrap up the information overall, or clarify it for you. Projection magic is part of the practice in using these fields. Okay? Any idea that they have or they wish to present to you is projected into the field, depending on how much they put together their own field so that they create a bigger field. Remember, I said to you that Yahweh was members in particular who called themselves all Yahweh, okay? Not one god, a thunder god, okay? A thing that was from paganism that was reconstructed to present some sort of ideology. So projection magic is based on projecting an idea through psychic energy thought forms into the trapezoid as perceived to be the void, okay, according to them, with this as a mirroring, okay, or in simple, sitting in front of a mirror and projecting information into it so that it reaches someone and causes damage or harm to that person, okay, whatever the case may be. I mean, it is like an invader that comes into your house. It's never good, okay? So it doesn't matter what they do, it's never good. It's an invasion of your house. All right. So we already have discussed that information in the um, video of the trapezoid in itself, in its details, with regards to the flipping the cards, the runes, and the Temple of Set. Much information is there if you need to understand how mirror magic works in terms of the trapezoid. You need to go there. I'll give you the link. I'll put the link down here. It's in the channel, okay? So, if you believe in duality, then these techniques and things that you wish to understand and how to invade another person, to take over their life purpose, and to look into their Akashic records and all of that shit is all based on mirroring what they see of you or your image. And in the same way, you're looking at duality as a flawed ideology and room for that illusion to take place. So, what you see with your physical eyes is already an illusionary aspect to you, okay? Mostly because there are some people who believe in flat earth. There are people who believe that because the water does this. Then there are people that believe in the spherical earth because the water does this. These are all perceptions, okay? The information on what I explain is neither any of these. So, as I was saying, you are already predisposed to the illusion by just the way that you look at things and how you understand things and how it explains itself to you, how it presents itself to you. So, what is inside of your head will be presented to you in a particular way. Those are just literal or physical examples of or presentations of how perceptions work. Okay, the eyes transfix on something and the mind attempts to rationalize it. Optical focus is always upside down. All right, don't forget that. And the mind, if affected by some kind of belief system, may even add extra data for you to see the image. It just depends on where you are in your progression of where you are in your spirit. Okay. Once you're fully connected within your entirety, you're able to see beyond all of these things, and none of it can actually affect you. Can't actually impact you. You can see beyond, you can see through it all. All right. So the mind addresses what it cannot see. It can add data to it, or tries to fill in the rest of the image for you to understand what you're looking at. And the focus then becomes either emotional or mental. It depends on where you are in your observation of what it is that you're looking at. The realm or world, however you want to explain it, is and has always been a non dual system. And the focus on the world or realm and its material experiences are already an existing system in itself. Okay? The dualists believe they have one eye on the prize at all times. Remember the eye of Horus. that triangle with the eye, or the eye of Horus, is based on perspective, okay? And no perspective, only computational gleaming of the cube all the time, okay, so to speak. So if you have only one eye, or you have no eyes, you still see, because it is not seeing, it is seeing. It is seeing, perceiving, seeing, observing. Original creative force does not have any physical attributes to it. It doesn't have eyes, but it is ever present and ever observant. It is indifferent to what you do. However, there are laws and rules put in place. I'm not going to discuss this again because I have discussed this in all the other videos before this. To observe, to know, and to be is based on your internal experience of who you are. If you worship duality concept, then you see only outward and you allow the material realm to impact your life. In other words, you become the image of the world as the world becomes the image of you. All right. As opposed to where you can be in your original individual existence and you can impact your own existence around you and function as a fully functional, let's call it, world or reality. Unique and whole. You are able to move through what you need to go to get your whatever it is you want in your life. Those who perceive with their one eye on the prize all the time are never able to see the entire picture at once. It is not possible to do that because they have already sacrificed themselves to the material world. Therefore, they have leaned themselves to the world to dictate to them. Those are the ones that are also worshipping things of material nature or an idol form to present something for them that if you don't create this or that, then this and this and this is going to happen. So they are the inverted beliefs of the natural laws. Okay. So people with one eye, even if you don't have a physically, you have a physically one eye. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how you perceive. You can be blind as well. It's how you think. It's how you observe with your internal eye, your mind's eye, not your third eye, not your pineal gland. How do you perceive? Therefore, I'm referring to mental intelligence and wisdom. Dualists create the understanding of good, therefore, there must be the understanding of bad. And in that, in itself, it is a perspective of both that mirror one another, and they get trapped in the middle. And that's where they want to be, so that's where they're going to be. So, non dualists or whole minded beings, like I've explained, uh, such as yourself and most of you here, will observe and then observe, perceive, think, and rationalize in a metaphysical manner whether things can add to my life or not. Do I need to do this so that I can empower myself? And if I can empower myself through self love, because it seems to be an evil thing, people don't like self love, can I live in a better state within myself? Ultimately, when you leave this world, when you physically die, you don't bring anything with you. So, really, there should be a little bit of a balance there, if you ask me. I'm going to now present to you the technical side to these fields, which is very important. On the technical stuff, the electromagnetic field physics or your immediate environment, that which is around you. At this moment, as you're looking at me right now, my immediate environment is what you can see on the screen. But I can tell you that in actuality, my field is bigger because it is inside of this room. Okay, now I'm talking about those fields. That is called the electromagnetic field. What is within you is able to pulsate through your spirit out of your form and through your form. Okay, your auric field is just a representation of the fact that you're alive and that you are a functioning being inside of your field. Your field is not exactly visible. You can feel it. Okay, so it depends on how much connected you are within who you are. This is why self love is so important, because it is the easier um, or the most powerful energy to work with. So, electromagnetic field physics is simply based on the energy field within and around you and the dynamics in how your field interacts with the material realm and with those of others. So, I'll be calling the energy field or your immediate reality also electromagnetic field and the physics of it. In order to understand how the trapezoid worshippers or dualists or hidden orders affect your field, you need to know in shorthand they use mirrors. They are duality obsessed. They only use one eye perspectives at all times, since the other side is looking elsewhere, like Janus, who is said to be able to control the present by controlling the past. Um, through pictures, of course, as well as uh, the moon. I think the dark side of the moon you'll never see because you only see the front side of the moon. So both sides of the moon is equally lit. The dark side is that part which you cannot see. So in terms of perspective, because that is the thing, you will have in your thoughts telling you that the moon is round. You'll think it is round when you see it that way. That is part of the dimension. So which are, yeah, like I've just explained. So remember that the triangle beyond Thunderdome, where I explained about the triangle, that it is also diamond shaped, and that on its side is a when you look at it on its side, it is a diamond shape. That is one-sided view, one eye of Horus view, or triangle is also one L, one L, or an L shaped, or a 7 upside down. Corner of the capstone for some worshippers, while others worship the diamond shaped itself. While others worship what's in the diamond, confusing it within the void or chaos, like H.P. Lovecraft got completely lost in his own crap, and so many other idiots that worship the material realm. So it's always about trapping the zoo in one corner of the eye, all right? Given them 12 planetary archons to rule over archetypes, and then rescribbling the Bibles and the documents and all of the material that's been found, and so forth, with iconography. The simple example of the L looks like a 7 triangle corner is using religious iconography as also the cornerstone, and creates ultimately Mount Analog on Rothschild's shield, which is also another angle of a corner, which also is just the diamond shape all over again. So mirror worshippers are dualists, and the more materiality you worship, the more singular and synthesized you become. That is a Kabbalah, those are Kabbalah terms. Okay? Singular and synthesized means you turn into a block, which means you become cubic in your existence. The worshippers of the Kabbalah and all forms of New Age that include Satanism as well as many variations of it, too many to name because there's a they pop up like mushrooms overnight. If you worship something that is external and present, you worship its image. The image is the projection of the mirror. With duality comes hypercubism, means you become fixated on that image. Then there are the worshippers of the material realm who use duality technology to uphold the production of illusions or masters of illusions. If you create an illusion elaborate enough for people to believe in, such as the hype that's happening right now, then it means you are aware that the realm is actually not dual. Okay. So some, not all of these, may know of it, and while others may not. So duality is a mirror concept, and we have cleared this up before, as I said, but the belief that the mirror is an actuality is a perception of the material realm. This is a type of psychosis for some. I think we've no, we see some of those. So almost all forms of beliefs and all forms of cults, religious beliefs, or anything, I'm actually really lumping them all together. Any and way they look at tangible evidence, looking for tangible evidence of God. The little cross or the crucifix is a symbol, or a sigil of the presence of a guy that was crucified on it. I mean, it's like it's really not okay to hang on to something that. Anyway, I'll just leave it there. It's like worshipping the butcher knife that uh, some serial killer had used. Okay, so that's weird. All right. So the dualist is also a perceiver. Perceiver. Okay. Dualism is a projection for the self into something or a material object to deify or venerate the belief, that exact belief, like I've just said, worshipping the butcher knife because it was in the hands of some famous serial killer, or worshipping the microphone that Elvis Presley had when he sang Love Me Tenderly, for example. Um, Objects, all right. This is one side of the coin. These objects are the images for the worship in a dual form. Okay. Can't touch that because that was so and so's whatever, and that means it's holy. Okay, it holds some personal thing for the observer of that thing, of that object. Then you get the other ones that are on the flip side, that they use objects and then they worship the dead, which is actually evil. It's equally as bad, um, and using objects to put the dead inside. Really? We've spoken about this. They're also dualists. Those same ones that are doing this hocus pocus magic on you from the background, or they're looking at your picture, doing screenshots of your videos and your face, and then they stick it on something, and then they put some spirit in there to try and attack that person because they see you, they perceive you as some sort of somebody that's achieved something and they want it. Because how dare you? How dare you? Okay. And these are all dualists. All right. The perceiver believes that what he or she sees of themselves is an extension of what they believe in. All right. This belief is projected into the materiality of the mirror world, which becomes part of the impression. This is why there's so many narcissists as well. I mean, it's just become more obvious these days. This belief is projected into the materiality of the mirror world, which then becomes or forms the impression of that thing on you. Therefore, those who believe it to become an actual apparition of the so-called unconscious, or what is internal, they see it as unconscious or internal, because they're completely warped in their understanding. And potential meaning of those in psychic nature is perceived as entirely unconscious, which means it is also a flawed statement because the bond you have with that object that you now interpret as making you feel all warm and fuzzy inside is perceived as the internal unconscious. Okay. Fake again, completely fake. It is probably the most information that is being used continuously when you go through some sort of psychological therapy as well, where they do the same thing to you, where they build an unhealthy relationship within you with your condition. Okay, That is how they mess with you. That is how brainwashing happens anyway. So, in other words, looking at the world or the belief that it's a mirror and then projecting an idea or implanting a virus into the mind of the host and then believing that it must become actual or real according to them is also what I've just explained to you right now. That is a form of projection as well. So I can tell you that psychology and those who learn to do that with people that are in a vulnerable place um, are manipulating your consciousness for you because you are not strong enough to handle yourself at that time. You are perhaps in a weakened state. So, in other words, yet again, they all screw themselves by using the mirror magic in many ways, shapes, and forms on the mirror world of their own psychotic minds projected onto you. I'm unhappy, I'm going to make you pay because you say this and that type of thing. Okay. Crybabies, there's lots of them actually. All right, so the darkening breaks this up, brings it to the surface. You all start to see it now. You become aware of it. What do you do about it? Okay. The idea of equivalent exchange is another mirror image flawed false belief. Okay. It does, however, align with the belief system of the mirror world because one image projects into the mirror, projects back to the same image, is equal. Exactly. It is also inverted. Okay. Just think of yourself. Your hair is combed one side and you look in the mirror, it's combed the other way. It's an inversion of your image, right? There are people that believe that. The more you start to realize this, the more you'll actually notice how many people live in the inverted ways. Not that you didn't need to know that, but, or you may already have known that, but now you know even more. So the pentagram is another example of a flawed ideology in terms of the four elements, when in actual fact there are actually eight. And there is a ninth one, which they then in the pentagram design only highlight four, and then the fifth one is the fifth element is completely out of context understood. Okay. Because each and every one of those elements have uh, energy that go with it, which are also elemental to it, which are the other parts of the elements, and they are all either masculine or feminine. And all of it in one is the spirit, not the fifth element. Okay, so that is completely flawed as well. Like I've said, there are actually, so if you have to, yeah, like I've just explained that now. So it is designed on purposely like that. It is cut off from the masculine and the feminine principle understanding because they don't like it. It's just too simple. It's just too perfect. So they must create an imperfect idea all the time. And it's got to have these hard, long, masculine, heavy lines and cut through, you know, whatever, cut that part out, leave it there. So I propose that duality is false, like I've said to you from the beginning, and I've argued that duality is really a projection of the self for the same results, which are invertedly returned back to whomever it is that is the eye of the beholder. If you look into a mirror, you will see your own face. That is in itself the exchange of the equal, like I've just explained, but it is the flipped side or the inverted part of it. Why is the information on duality so important? Because now you know how to understand where your energy fields are. Which leads me now to the next part of the philosophy. This is the last part of the philosophy. So, the electromagnetic field physics is based on the observations of energy in motion in and around you and how it interacts with you, and also how people can interfere with your field also, and what is needed to make sure that you are unaffected as best as possible. Okay. Think of this as Psychic Protection 101, the advanced version. Okay. An electromagnetic field is created by the energy of you, your spirit. It can also be created by people in a group. Okay. So you have these variations, okay, these variables. An electromagnetic field is created by the energy of yourself, your spirit, of what is within you. Like I've just explained to you, it is around you all the time, whether you're aware of it or not. It can also be actively created by people who operate in a group of people in the same way. This is to be understood as also an egregore, which we've discussed before, or a demiurge, or even a god, or a devil, or a whatever, or an adversary. However you want to look at it, okay, or a superhero. An electromagnetic field is also around you, and everything alive has this field. Okay. The aura makes part of it up. All right. It operates in a state that is limited. It is based on how you operate within yourself. It is not limited by only certain things. It can have the potential of actually expanding. Okay, depending on you, all right, and where you are inside of yourself. An electromagnetic field is always present. If your heart is pulsing, your spirit is functioning, your soul and everything else works, you are actively inside of your energetic field at all times. Two people can effect or create a charge or an arc when they radiate to one another with the same field. It happens, it's called communication. All right, it's that simple. Um, or if they are on an energetic form, can also influence one another's fields as well. That's called negotiation. All right. On the metaphysical side, it can also be used, it can also be perceived in that way. All right. And two or more people, or groups, or countries, or places can influence people in the same way. That is called sanctions and media and stuff. All right. Magic is a thought field that is used to manipulate the energy field of another person or thing. All right. Chaos is the disruption of that field of another person or thing. Actuality, wholeness, is in taking command of your field to become unaffected by minions that continuously do that shit. So the maximum form of electromagnetic field can be seen or perceived in crowds, for example, or groups of people. The electromagnetic fields are also created by people who become focused on a belief system or ideology because that activates and makes the field stronger. All right, whether it's good or bad. It tends to become lifelike by its own volition, much like a phantom or god, okay, or devil or adversary. Remember, I said that people who believe in duality need to make sure that someone has to play the adversary because they're seeing the other. So there's this old bone to pick between two dogs. One is Christianity and one is Satanism. Both are the same. They're just inversions of one another. Okay? Good and bad is different because there's morality involved and ethics and choices. Okay? So if you encounter the field of another person, depending in what way you exist within yourself, the field or of the other person can either be predated on or upon, or affected by or influenced in some way, shape, or form. This is why when you go into a place, you can say, I don't like being here because it feels weird. Then it's because you're weird, or they are weird because you're in their space. Either way, you will know where you are in your thoughts when you're in that. The field require if you want to control your field, it requires for you to be absolutely honest with yourself in every way, shape, and form. You have to be super truthful about what you think and where you are and where you are if you want to have control over that field. If you don't want to, then be go for it. Do your own thing. It's fine. This is only for people who want to know. So the higher form is not about being better or not. The No, let me just come back, step back, start, check. So the maximum form of electromagnetic field in crowds or groups of people, you'll see the maximum of that field. Uh, Electromagnetic fields are also created by people who become focused on a belief system or ideology. Another example that the field is being used, like I said magicians use the thought field. They also use the thought field in thought field therapy, and I've got a link that I've put there, and I'll just read to you briefly what it says. Thought field therapy, because is theorized that when a person thinks about an experience or thought associated with an emotional problem, they are tuning into a thought field in inverted commas. He describes this field as the most fundamental concept of the thought field therapy system, stating that it creates an imaginary thought, quiet, quite real scaffold upon which they may erect or create explanatory notions. End quote. So that in itself explains to you how important the thought field is, because this is where it's going towards, or what has always been there. So it tends to become lifelike, as they said, by its own volition, much like a phantom or godlike being too. Remember those magicians that do that? People who believe themselves to be chosen ones or godlike in their productions and their experiences are the batteries for these fields to exist, for those to use it. All right, so you the idea of being a chosen one just correlates to the belief system of the dual system. It means that if there's a good guy, there must be a bad guy. If there's a chosen one, there must be a chosen evil one to meet adversarial connections with one another. It's just a mirror of each other. It's the same thing. Okay, it's all material based. If you encounter these fields, some will be evil and others will not. Others will be indifferent. You will encounter this. People are either evil or they are not. They are good or they are bad. They are either this or they are that, or they are indifferent. Just think it in that way. If you encounter the field of another person, depending in what way you exist within yourself, you can either be triggered or influenced by, or you can connect and be good friends. Okay? Either or. Remember the free choice. Okay? The choice to decide where you want to be. The realm has its own electromagnetic fields, also based on the people and the things that live within the realm. The higher forms of frequency in the fields are based on the concentration or the maximum energy that that entity or being radiates within their field. All right. So remember, higher does not mean higher as in higher, it means as in concentration. All right. There's the difference. So the higher the concentration of an evil person in his or her field is, the more they are present and you can feel it. All right. So the realm's own electromagnetic fields are also impersonal to you. All right. There is no personal response from it to you. except from what you radiate within yourself and its interaction with the realm's fields as well. Okay. The realm's own electromagnetic field is impersonal to you, but only operates personally with you if you focus on it on a personal level. For instance, if you seek to be a billionaire, like I've just used that example as well, and that wish is made because of a belief of lack of something which is higher than the out than what you believe in, then you will not reach there, that place of billionaire kingdom. Okay, that is an example. So if you believe in a lack-minded state, if you believe that you are living in a world that is it's all angry with you, and you are this the victim, but you want this and this to happen, so you'll be unvictimy, then the victim state, which is the highest principle inside of you, will reach and draw things that will be of a lack-minded, like same frequency will tap in with you. So you will not reach the billionaire kingdom because you believe that you are nothing to begin with. So therefore you will be treated as nothing to begin with. So this is why I say that self-love is a very important factor that actually influences and charges up your field so that you are able to exist within a higher perspective, which means higher as in growth, evolved in your consciousness and who you are, that is how you make your field stronger. You make yourself stronger by and in that makes your field stronger. All right. So believing in something for the sake of something else, that belief, and this is why I said get rid of belief systems. From the very beginning, I've said revoke all the belief systems that you have in your life, then you are free to operate as a sovereign being. This information will only radiate or resonate with certain people. Other people will choose not to. They may want to, but they will choose not to. This is just how it is. It is just how it is. Your family will not all be on the same board with you. Is what I'm saying. That you cannot beat them up or fight them. It just is the way it is. You have to allow choice and their free will to have a choice to happen. You have to allow that. You have it within you. Therefore, the state of any belief is, if you focus a lot on it, becomes a higher, a more concentrated focus for the field to draw that energy to you. So if you're like I said, yeah, I think I've given you a very good example here. Anyway, so the electromagnetic field seeks or operates within a frequency of tapping into what is the highest at all times. You will naturally want to go towards a place or a thing where there's something that is the same as what you feel you want to find. So if you are feeling all inspired and excited and happy, and you love who you are, you enjoy what you do, you are creative, you are loving, you love your animals and your family and whatever, you will be naturally drawn to places that have that in perspective for you. So that is how that field will draw to your field, or your field will draw to that field of that place, that holiday destination, or that group of people. All right. So if you observe or obsess on certain things because of certain reasons, then those things that you obsess on, and you may say, but I'm not a victim, and you may say, but I don't hate myself. I Then if you say that to me, then I will say to you that um, why do you feel you need to tell me that you don't that you love yourself, or that you don't hate yourself, when in actual fact you should just be in that state, and know that you are, instead of trying to uh, persuade me to believe that you are happy within yourself. So what I'm trying to say is you have to be very honest with yourself. If you know that your tendencies are to be naturally a negative person, or not a actually the word negative, let me just say this: negative means to negate the field of connection to you. And the word positive means to posit, to speak what has to happen for you. Okay, so there is the difference between negative and positive. To posit something is to explain something, and you can negate it, or you can negotiate with it, or you can accept it. Either way. All right. So if you are in a negated state, you will continuously push away whatever it is that's coming to you in your thought field, because you don't value yourself enough to achieve it, because you still believe yourself as being, I'm a loser, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not going there. So you will get that to you. It'll come to you in the same way. You sing one tune, that same tune will come to you. There's no difference. It just is that simple. All right. So whatever you obsess about, or whatever you fixate on, whatever is a problem, whatever is something that you have an issue with, even pain, okay? If you have a continuous focus on that burnt thumb, you keep focusing on that burnt thumb, it's going to stay burned. It's going to feel pain all the time. Your body will say, okay, I get your message. You say, I must keep feeling pain. All right. It doesn't mean that, yeah, actually, that's basically it. That really is that. This is why I said attempt to love yourself, attempt to try to love yourself, and you amplify the the virility and the fertility and the strength of your energy field around you. That is your immediate environment while you are within your higher consciousness, or your temple of communion with your original creative force that you connect with. Control the mind, all right? Control how you think about yourself. How do you attain control? If you have ADD, and I will tell you one thing: if you have ADD, it doesn't matter what degree you're in, if you are able to master self love, or learn to even try to love yourself, you will have command over the popcorn in your head. All right. So if you believe that you wish to find a pathway, let me explain to you the other part here. I'll mention it now. The electromagnetic field of the realm. All right. So you've got now these different fields, like I've just explained to you in a very rudimentary way. The electromagnetic field of the realm is also presenting itself in this example. So, for example, you require to find a route between point A to point B, but there's this massive mountain in the front of you. Um, you wish to get to point B. The electromagnetic field of the realm will allow for you to find a way around the mountain to get to point B. But if you are a person who seeks to get to point B because you don't want to move around the mountain, your pathway will be rocky and rough to get through, because your focus is on not wanting to work so hard. Therefore, remember, I don't want to work so hard. That is a higher concentration of energy in your field already. The mountain road will be as rocky as fuck for you. All right. So you can't con the electrical fields. They are based on impulse, input, and functionality, and is indifferent, except those who are able to wield their fields. They've made so many movies of it, they've just never said it the way that it is, but they have been saying it to you all this time, that you are an idiot if you don't know how to control your own field. All right. and therefore I can control your field and everybody else's field because I'm the master of illusions, blah blah blah, fish paste. Right, so this is why everything right now is really based on, I've always said, frequency wars, and or I will call it thought field wars. That is the same thing. It's happening right now, which is what is happening right now. Is like I said, it does present itself as devilish as well, or demonic, or angelic, however you want to perceive it. Remember, those who wield their fields can are able to believe themselves to be whatever they want to believe themselves to be in. But that's because of the darkening that's making everything much more amplified now. So you'll see more of these things if you are able to control your thought field, or sorry, if you're able to control your electromagnetic field, but then also by your thoughts and how you feel about yourself. Destructive electromagnetic fields tend to force certain events and belief patterns on people and on the material realm itself, um, who do not choose for it to happen. All right, like I've just explained. This is where they say good people have bad things happen to them and bad people to go unpunished. All right, that's based on that thing. It's based on what they believe of themselves. That is why things happen the way that they do. I've just explained to you about the mountain path and how rocky it will be if you wish not to meet it halfway and at least put some effort in on your behalf, your own part. Are all these fields related to the original creative force? Definitely not, but there is an influence of um, the way that the fields exist within yourself, your spirit, and also from the original creative force. Okay, so this is the part that needs to still be investigated. Um, Although I've got a sense that it is for sure actually quite present right now. I think because of all of the illusions that have broken down. Right. So, like I said, destructive fields do exist. They are either creational or they are anti-creational. Um, Anti-creational are people who operate fields for the purpose of zero life, zero. Everything must be zeroed to the nothingness. And for them, there is a feeding off of nothing, the destruction of everything for the sake of nothing to feed off of that. Those are the parasites that I keep talking about. You get people like that as well. So you remember the picture of the Ethiopian starving kid that was presented by National Geographic many years ago, and when they investigated that photo, they had said, okay, no, that was a picture that was taken out of context because actually the people were okay at that time, and that child was sick. That one with the vulture, that was an illusionary perspective created for the field, the electromagnetic field, to give sympathy and money to the organization that presented that image as an illusion for the populace to believe in. That is an example. All right. So the explosion of the breaking down of that bridge in the States is another trigger point for those to go back to the 9/11 trigger day as well. The events and everything in it takes creates a continuous field of uh, complex post-traumatic stress disorder within people when they see that happen. Okay, that is the feed of what they seek from you. So the more you react to it, the more you give them food. So either way, right? Just always know that it's always done for money or some food source in itself. If there is something that you really do not want, it will appear in your life. Okay? Listen to it again. If you do not want something to happen, like passionately, it will happen for the reason that you believing that you do not want it to happen is concentration of your thought for the fields to match it. So it will match it for you, that you will have that thing that you don't want. All right. Don't forget that energy from the realm has electromagnetic fields are also within the people and the realm itself, and everything impacts on each other in one way or another, unless you are able to become completely unpredictable and you have full autonomy over your field, your energetic field, and for you to be able to control yourself by amplifying the power of your field so that it becomes untouchable, because it can become untouchable. You can literally become untouchable and move through the realm without it affecting you in any way, shape, or form. Daily, hard exercise work within physical exercises and loving the self is important. It is what it is. Freeing yourself from the grasp and control of the fields entirely requires active focus on the self and self love to be practiced, to discard all forms of beliefs that could hinder you in one way or another. That's why I said you have to be super honest with yourself, thereby discarding the fields that could sabotage you. This includes people too. If I discard the existence of parasitic entities of people within my field, within my life and my field, they start to dissipate out of my field. Because if you bring a lot of information into something, you radiate a frequency that draws a lot of focus. And some of the focus is negative to negate what you're saying, whereas others are focusing on what they wish to learn for themselves. It just displays to you or gives you an example of the difference of the type of people you find. All of the information that I'm explaining to you on this video, from the beginning of this video to the end of this video, is the philosophy of understanding that self-love is able to help you to protect yourself in your field so that you are able to exist freely from being affected by all kinds of shit that keeps coming up, especially in this darkening period. All right. So the more you practice self love, the more you change the oscillations of the field around you and yourself within yourself, and it becomes a part of life. The electromagnetic field of the realm is then impersonal and at times personal towards you in whatever way you are within yourself. All right. This is not duality. All right. This is what I've been trying to explain to you from the very beginning. I hope it makes sense now. Um, the more you practice self love, the more you can quieten and still and quieten down the oscillations of other people's fields at you, on you, all the time. Destructive fields from people, from personal natures, such as those who wish to do you harm or violate your private space by doing remote viewing on you or psychically trying to hurt you in some way, shape, or form because you threatened their kingdoms of illusions, can be snuffed out literally by eliminating the frequency of the impact on you by becoming more unpredictable. This is part of assisting you in the way that you are operating your life. Fight the feeling of becoming suspended in animation, because you can eventually become like that the more you do certain things, by introducing things that will nourish you on a emotional, spiritual, loving nature way. And then you keep moving forward in yourself. Um, yeah, you keep going forward until you are eventually deciding to leave this realm. You will leave within absolute freedom and to choose wherever you wish to go. It is essential to acquire the habit of remembering what you know and who you are in all forms of where you are, in self-loving manner. And I leave this with you. I hope this has given you some food for thought. Uh, if you have found that whatever you've been working on has helped for you, please like, share, and subscribe, and also give me the comment at the bottom. As always, I bid you well. Until next time. Bye.